Julian had always been the kind of person who couldn't stay in one place for long. Every time he saw someone succeed, he wanted to be like them. When a friend started making money on YouTube, Julian bought a camera. When another became a web designer, he took an online coding course. And when he saw a stranger online talking about their handmade perfume business, Julian ordered bottles and oils, dreaming of his own success, but none of it lasted. The moment things got hard, or the results didn't come fast enough, he'd quit, convincing himself that maybe this one just wasn't the right path. One cold winter night, Julian sat alone in the basement of his family's house, the same place he had turned into his workspace. The desk was buried under notebooks full of abandoned plans, and a cup of cold tea sat beside him. He looked around, feeling the weight of all his unfinished beginnings. He'd spent years chasing other people's dreams, but never once stopped to chase his own. For the first time in a long while, he turned everything off: the music, the videos, the noise, and just sat in silence. He whispered to himself, "If I'm going to fail again, let it be at something I actually love." He thought back to what had always made him happy as a kid. The answer came quickly: clay. He'd loved the feeling of shaping something real with his hands, watching formless earth become art. So he began again, but this time for himself. He bought a few bags of clay, an old pottery wheel, and turned that cold, dusty basement into a small workshop. The first months were rough. His fingers blistered, his palms cracked, and the floor filled with broken pots that hadn't survived the kiln. Some nights, staring at the shattered pieces, he'd sigh, "Maybe this is just another mistake." But deep down, he knew it wasn't. Even when everything went wrong, he felt alive, grounded, peaceful, connected to something real. Julian spent hours online studying pottery techniques and traditional designs. He filled notebooks with sketches, watched tutorials until dawn, and pushed himself to create new ideas. When the city hall organized small craft fairs, he started joining every one of them. He paid for each booth from his own pocket money, saved from his temporary job. Some weekends, he sold only a few pieces. Some, none at all. But every time someone stopped to admire his work, even for a few seconds, it made every late night worth it. To stay inspired, Julian created a new ritual. Every Friday, he went hiking with a second-hand camera. He took photos of mountains, trees, stones, and rivers, anything with a pattern or rhythm. Back home, he studied the pictures and turned what he saw into pottery designs: the swirl of a shell, the curve of a leaf, the shape of a cloud. One day, he made a bowl inspired by ocean waves, and it became his first bestseller. Of course, not everything went smoothly. Some pots cracked in the kiln, glazes came out dull or uneven, and there were days he wanted to give up. But instead of running, he stayed. He learned to fix, to adapt, to try again. Failure stopped scaring him. It became his teacher. A year passed. The basement no longer looked like a forgotten storage room. It had become a real studio full of color, clay, and quiet determination. Julian wasn't rich, but his pottery was selling steadily. Piece by piece, sale by sale, he was building something real, something that finally belonged to him. Then one morning, the numbers added up. Everything made sense. It means that after months of struggle, Julian suddenly realized he was finally earning enough from his pottery. For the first time, he had earned enough from his pottery to cover all his bills. He stared at the screen, heart racing, and smiled. That afternoon, he wrote an email to his manager. "Thank you for everything. I'm resigning to pursue my own work." That night, standing in his clay-scented workshop, Julian looked around at the shelves of handmade bowls. He whispered, "I'm not chasing someone else's dream, I'm living mine." Thank you so much for the likes. I hope this story has been inspiring and meaningful for you. Remember, every dream takes time, but it's always worth the journey.